Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, created in collaboration with and in support of the Matthew Perry House. Hosted by Amy Goldberg and Caitlin Morrison, this is a space for real conversations with musicians and artists, exploring who they are beyond the work, what fuels their creativity, and why music plays such an important role in their well-being.
Welcome to Believe in People Unplugged, in collaboration with the Matthew Perry House, hosted by me, Amy Goldberg, and Caitlin Morrison. Today's guest, Damhnait Doyle, is a Canadian singer-songwriter known for her powerful voice, emotional honesty, and decades-long presence in the music industry. Her career reflects both creative evolution and personal resilience with music, radio. She is a dynamo. We're very excited to welcome Damhnait. Dav, welcome to Believe in People Unplugged.
Thank you so much.
That means we can talk about anything. And as a matter of fact, just before this, we were talking about feeling kind of weird on Zoom. And actually, to your point about, facing, completely was Zoom fatigued, after the COVID. But you actually have to focus. Like when it's camera, you can't just kind of chill. Like you have to, even if you feel you're not on, you are on. Like you have to sit up straight, or you can't really, you know what I mean? You have to look sort of someplace.
Absolutely. It is. I find it really unnatural and nerve-wracking. That's why I'm glad I'm here with both of you guys today, because I feel comfortably uncomfortable. I don't know. I think I'm 50 years old. I grew up in an age where I didn't want people to know where I was. Like social media, people who are posting what they're doing. It is completely the opposite to how I like to live my life as a ADHD human person.
Oh my God. Same. Like people shouldn't know where you are and what you're doing, and why would you want, like, I don't understand the psychology of social media the way that some people do. The other thing that is crazy these days for me is people feel like they need to send you a message to ask permission to call you.
Yeah.
Like, just call me. That's
can I call you? No, just call. Because I won't pick up if I'm not I just won't pick up if I'm not available.
Yeah. It's like this conditioning to go, it's okay not to pick up. It's okay not to text back. It's okay to move everything to email because the expectation of time of response is longer there.
Yeah.
I think I don't like this idea of people feel the need to be on at all times.
Yeah.
To be responsive on the phone. It freaks me out.
Yeah.
And also too, I think it's the opposite, where people don't want to talk on the phone. What's with that?
Oh, like you ask a 25-year-old to call somebody for work.
Oh, they won't do it?
You say, I emailed them. They didn't get back to me. Well, call them. What?
Really? That
what?
fascinates me. Why?
I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird world.
That's okay. So that's actually would be a great start of the franchise. Instead of it's a mad world, weird. It should be weird. Like that's really good.
But I say to my girls, every morning, every day, it's like, go out in the world, stay weird, stay as weird as you possibly can. Don't let them knock the weird out of you. It's so funny at this point in my life. I really feel I'm coming back to the weirdness in such a beautiful way. I'm just leaning into my weird.
I love that. Embrace the weird. So
you are a beautifully weird person.
Like, give me an example of weird. What's weird? Tell me what's weird for you.
Well, it's so funny. I mean, I mentioned ADHD before. I'm like so many women who are diagnosed at this point in their life. I only found out like a year and 3 months ago. And I'm telling you, it was like the final piece of the puzzle where nothing made sense before. Everything makes sense to me now. And now that I know, I'm not, lazy. I'm not forgetful. I'm not any of these things. My brain works differently. So whereas before I spent a lot of time in my life masking these things so you could be like everybody else, so you could fit in. Now, in fact, I'm embracing the things that make me different and the things that make me weird. And even, so I'm a musician, but my daily job, I'm the morning show host of CBC Music. And I work with a producer there, Ryan Chung. And we just have this fantastic working relationship with each other. And the weirder I am, the more he laughs and the more I am genuinely myself. And when I'm authentically myself, I connect with people who are listening. We get all these people writing in to go, oh, that story, blah, 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 blah. Because when you're in an environment, when you're free to be yourself, you don't edit. You don't think, oh, that's too weird. People are going to think that's weird. I just am really in a flow state where I'm trying not to let the head to interfere with who I am, just being who I am, which is very weird,
That's
as Caitlin said.
Do you find finally having an answer to all the things that made you feel like, right? Do you find that you used to like cover for things, but now you can just outright be like, I didn't respond to you because I just couldn't do it that day. I just wasn't in the place.
100%. I have self-acceptance, which is the first thing. I don't feel bad about it. I'm sorry that it inconvenienced you, but this is what I'm dealing with, and this is what I'm dealing with. Yeah.
So can I ask you, because this is really wild, because I just recently have learned more and more of people being diagnosed with ADHD. I mean, in their 50s. And so what is, and I don't even want to know because I just don't want to.
We'll send you the testing.
What is the test? Tell me what the test is.
Well, the test is a whole process. It's a whole, a bunch of different conversations and things where it's like you have to answer stuff and do it. It's a whole process.
Like how many?
Well, it's different because there are different types of ADHD. Like that's a thing. Yeah. It's like and I have two of my best. It's so funny. It's been proven, that if you have ADHD and you don't know, you are subconsciously connecting with other people who have ADHD.
Wow.
Because you connect in a different way. So two of my best friends have ADHD and they have completely different symptoms and characterizations than I do. For me, one of my, I said to a girlfriend of mine, I was like, your ADHD is like, my ADHD is like, oh God, stay away. Like very introverted, like, big lights, sensory processing stuff. She doesn't have any of that. So it's really like you get the label and then you figure out what, how it manifests in you. But one of the big things for me is I have tremendous social anxiety and have always had it my entire life. And Caitlin, I know you and I talked about this briefly on stage because at the concert in November, you dragged me out on stage to dance.
Sure did.
And I was physically so filled with dread and fear, but I said to myself, no, you know what? I'm just going to go do this. And I looked to you and I said, this is the first time I've been dancing on stage sober, let me tell you, because I quit drinking 7.5 years ago.
Wow.
Great. Best thing I ever did, because I realized I was just using that. I started in the music industry when I was very young. I signed my first record deal when I was 17 years old. And then I started coming from Newfoundland up to Toronto. And I was in these social situations that I was completely a fish out of water. But so I would have a glass of wine or shot of tequila or whatever to loosen up, to be in that, so I could be comfortable in uncomfortable situations for me. And so removing that, what was not serving me, made me realize I'm only going to go into rooms where I'm comfortable. If I'm in a room that's uncomfortable for me, I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't need to do all these things to make me be able to be in a situation, So I think for me, like there's there's big pieces like with women because it's the estrogen menopause piece. It is the you when you reach that point in your life, you're no longer metabolizing alcohol in the same way. So you might have had a very fine relationship with alcohol up to a certain point, and then perimenopause or menopause kicks in, and then women are going, I don't understand why this is happening. Why is this affecting me differently? And people just, kind of plow through it because you've conditioned a habit within yourself. So for me, it was like all the pieces at the same time happened for a real shedding, clearing of what wasn't really serving me, really.
Wow. So, Dav, so how did you break into music, and the fact that you
Yeah.
signed at 17? Because I heard you at Live Live Loud. You have a gorgeous,
Oh,
gorgeous
thank
voice,
you.
like
Thank you.
gorgeous voice.
Through that.
Thanks so
Like,
much.
wow.
Thank you.
So what happened?
Well, I wanted to be an actor, really. I did one semester of university at Memorial University, and then I took the next semester off to do a professional touring theater play in the province. And then that summer, I got a job at a record store called Fred's Records. So I was up above in the distribution center. I was answering calls, cleaning toilets, doing everything that needed to be done, packing up CDs. And at the time, East Coast music was exploding. It was like Sloan, Ashley McIsaac. It was huge internationally, really. So this guy by the name of Graham Stairs was sent to Newfoundland to start an independent label distributed by EMI. He came to the office where I was working. He overheard me singing a Newfoundland folk song,
Wow.
which I was singing over and over again because my coworker hated that song and I was just doing it to bug his ass. I would sing Cape St. Mary's over and over and over just to like get a rise. And I had done a demo tape with a band, but I wasn't serious about it. I really wanted to do the acting thing. And this guy, Graham Stairs, heard this demo tape. He said he put it in his rental car, got halfway around the block and said, this is our first signing. So then that next fall, I enrolled in university again, but then I was flying up to Toronto on weekends to write with people. And then I made my first record that winter, and then it was off to the races. And I put out my first single, and it was a huge hit. It was like a top 5 hit in Canada. I was on Much Music. I went from 0 to 100 and nothing. And then I put out my next single, and it didn't do as well. And then I put out the single after that, and then that didn't. And then I found myself in this world where people thought of me as a pop artist, but I knew that I wasn't that, even at that young age. But I didn't know how to kind of remove myself from that pop imaging, because I've always known within myself, that I want to make art, but I want to make it that is something that is meaningful to me. And I felt at that time I wasn't making that in my music. So it was like a great period of discovery for years and years where I was exploring how to get the best out of myself. And I had an opportunity to open up for Steve Earle, and I remember being side stage watching him, and he started playing this Emmylou Harris song that was on her brilliant album Wrecking Ball. And I made the connection. I was like, oh, he wrote that song. Everything fired in my brain. I was like, okay, I need to go take 2 years. I went and I wrote with everybody I could in Nashville and Toronto and Los Angeles, and I really just learned how to write songs. And then I gathered all this information, and then I dropped away what was not important to me. If that was a long-winded story.
That's great.
No, it's a great story.
It's a great story.
How did that? So you already talked about the social anxiety thing, and as a fellow social anxiety person, the first thing that pops into my head is you went from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
you're a kid, basically.
Yeah.
What did that do to you? How did that feel?
It's so funny because I'm having these memories pop up right now of being around that age and going to the grocery store in Newfoundland and seeing some people that I truly loved This man I had been in a play with, he played my father in a Shakespearean play, and I saw him, he saw me, and there was a lot of time where I felt physical pain in being seen. I'm getting ready to release an EP with Hill Corcutis. She produced my first record in 7 or 8 years, and I'm feeling very vulnerable about it. I'm feeling major anxiety. I have a photo shoot in a couple weeks, and I'm telling you, I would rather run out into the street and just, like, is there a bus coming? But I'm really lucky that I'm working with a brilliant photographer who I know and I trust, but I'm still uncomfortable with that stuff. And at that age, it took its toll on me for sure, because I had major imposter syndrome because I wasn't somebody who played clubs for 10 years and then had success. It was, to the outside eye, it fell into my lap. And in many ways it did. So it took me a long, long time to shed that imposter syndrome. And now it's the first time when I go on stage where I feel like I am truly myself and I'm connecting when I'm on stage, unless I know I'm going to be able to do it 100% of my ability, I'm not doing it. Like, that's just where I'm at in my life. So now when I go on stage to sing, it really is like spiritual experience for me, because I've done the right amount of work, but not too much rehearsal, like enough so that I'm not in my head, like that I know the song enough that I'm still able to access it in a very real, like, this is the first time it's happening. But I have enough of my memories to, remember the words so now actually I used to hate performing when I was I hated it. I felt like everybody was looking at me and thinking I was terrible. But now when I go on stage, I'm doing it for myself. So that feels so much better than when I started.
Wow.
Do you ignore having an audience? Like, do you tune it out, or
No,
no?
I don't know if I don't know if I'm tuning it out. I think it's just that I'm not, it's not performative.
Yeah.
I'm not performing for anybody. We are in communion. Like, we're all there together. I'm not a bigger piece of that energy than anybody else in that room. It's just like adding to the collective, I think, is how I feel about it.
And Dab, would you have, you were discovered. Without that, is this the journey you wanted to be on when you were a kid?
No, I no, I think I'd probably be an unemployed actor right now. Honestly, I wanted to go to the National Theater School. That was really where all of my family comes from. Theater in Newfoundland, and decades and decades and decades of community theater. My father is a professor, but he's also a playwright, a set designer, director, lighting designer. They just come from, and people could sing. But I realize what I'm doing in all of my different areas of my career, whether it's my work on radio or as a songwriter or as a singer, is that I'm just a storyteller in whatever medium it is. I just like to tell stories, and I would probably be singing at parties, which I do, is my favorite thing to do. If someone gets out a guitar and starts singing a song, I don't remember the words, but I'm your number one backup singer. My favorite thing to do. So I would be singing, but I don't know that I would have at 19, that music would have been the river that I followed.
Do you have a favorite play or like a favorite role for a play that you always wanted to do?
Well, I will say something I would redo. When I was in high school, we did a production of Into the Woods, and I was cast as the witch, which is, of course, Bernadette Peters made that role famous on Broadway, and I was chosen for my acting ability. I had two fantastic teachers in high school: Kevin Lewis, theater arts; Susan Quinn, music. And at that time, I was a very meek soprano, took voice lessons, that was how I sang. And so the Kevin Lewis had to fight for me to get that part based on my acting ability, because Susan was like, I don't think she can sing it because it's this big, broad chest voice situation. So I was just, leaning into it. And then a week before the show opened, I discovered my voice. There
Wow.
was this big chest voice inside of me that I had no idea was there. Probably would have remained undiscovered to me because I'm also, hyper focused when I like something. I'm going to make that happen. I'm following that train down the path. It's happening. So that's what happened in that situation. And that I think we did 4 or 5 shows of Into the Woods. I would have to say, of all of my experiences in life, which are random and amazing, but that has to be a highlight of my creative life, is doing that role. And I would love to do it again. I would crush it. It'd be so fun. I also did a production of Evita that my dad directed in Newfoundland at the Arts and Culture Center, where I played Evita. My dad got to direct me.
That's amazing.
Pretty fun. And I realized, there was a time in Toronto where I had an agent and I was going auditions. It's like film and TV is not for me. I am meant for the stage. For me, I'm co-hosting the gala dinner for the Junos next month. I've done it the last 2 years. They do it in 3, so this is my final year. But the ease with which I can walk out on a stage when 1,500 people are eating dinner and they don't give a crap about what's happening on stage. I love that adrenaline rush of that so much. And then having to go into work and then put all of my expenses for that weekend in, that is catastrophic for me. Like I'm lying on the couch like this. No, please, no. I just have a comfort level on stage talking to people, whether they want to hear me talk or not. Like I find it like this really thing, like I'm going to get you. I'm going to engage you on some level.
That's
I love
awesome.
that. It's an adrenaline rush for me.
How did CBC start for you?
I have always adored the medium of radio. I just think it's so magical to be somewhere. It's like Saturday Night Live, you're somewhere and somewhere else is staring at the same moon, listening to the same music that you are. It's a collective experience. And so I always wanted to get into radio. CBC is a hard nut to crack into, but I did have somebody there who I knew for a very long time, and she championed me to kind of get my name in there. But I did an op-ed for the Toronto Star 6.5 years ago, when I quit drinking, about really just the need for non-alcoholic options in workspaces for musicians. Like this, addiction is a huge issue for the music industry, because a lot of creatives are neurodivergent too, are probably doing what I was too, self-medicating with alcohol to be comfortable in a work scenario. And it caused quite a stir. And I was doing an interview with my colleague now, Angeline Tedawayo, on Here and Now. And the woman who was in charge, Lauren, of, kind of molding new hosts, she heard that interview. And she said to Angeline, do you think Damhnait would be able to do this gig? And Angeline said, absolutely. So I have all these female champions at CBC who kind of recognized that I could do that as well. So before the pandemic, in September, I started going in there working with Lauren. And the first time I said, well, send me a script and I'll send you an audition. She was like, oh, it doesn't work like that. She was like, you have to write the script. I was like, what? And so today, 5 days a week, I have a 3-hour radio show that they give me a playlist for 41 songs, and I write stories about 20 of them every day. And I really I never want to repeat myself. I want them to be entertaining. I want Ryan on the other side of the glass to be laughing. So, sorry, I hopped ahead a little bit, but March the 8th was my first guest hosting show. And then, of course, the pandemic happened.
Oh boy.
So 3 months later, I was like, I'm going to lose this opportunity. I've done all this groundwork, and this is something I really want to do. I had 2 kids at home. I didn't want to be on the road as a musician anymore. And I wrote an email and I said, if you ever need anyone to guest host, I can do it from home. Meanwhile, at that time, my mother, who had Alzheimer's, was living with us. She came up from Newfoundland right at the beginning of the pandemic. My kids were home. There was a lot going on. And I get an email a couple of months later. It's great. Can you fill in both both weekend morning shows for the next couple of months? And I was like, amazing. I went to Amazon. I ordered all of the equipment. I looked at YouTube. I figured out how to record it at home in my basement. I had no idea. I've never been technically inclined or interested. And I would record those shows between 12 at night and 2:30 in the morning, because my mother would get up around 2:30 and either get fully dressed to walk outside or just to go to the bathroom. So I would stay up until 2:30 till that waking happened. So I would go down in my basement, stocked boxes piled high with like just a microphone. Like it was literally one of those situations where I was like, if I can do that, I know I can do everything. And I pulled it off, and I was really learning I had nobody to bounce off of. Like I was really inside of my head. It was like a spiraling time for sure. But yeah, I did it. So I'm really
Wow.
proud of myself for that. And then I got this job as the morning show host. So it was really, don't threaten me with a good time.
Wow.
All of that is fabulous.
Thank you.
I love the midnight to 2:30 thing. Like that sort of the combination of the peace and quiet of being alone, but then also
Yeah.
the maddening chaos in your brain
Yeah.
of being alone.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, a funny story. My ex-husband and I adopted our oldest child. We were the first ones to hold her. It was the first time at that hospital that adoptive parents had been in the room. Like we just missed the birth. It wasn't, it just happened really fast. And, the universe just pointed us together. It was always destined, meant to be. And then 3.5 months later, after being told it was a 1 in a million chance that I would get pregnant, I found out that I was 3.5 months pregnant. So my kids are 8 months apart.
I always thought that it would be that such a thing would be maddeningly impossible for the first 3, 4, 5 years, maybe, but then
Yes.
gets a little easier because they have a little companion. Is that true?
It definitely got so much easier. I mean, it was really an interesting ride because I was a stay-at-home mom. I was doing some music stuff and some board work for SOCAN, but I was till the kids went to school, till they were 7, I was a stay-at-home mom. And it was quite an adjustment. When we got the call from our lawyer saying, you've been chosen as parents, which is a miracle in this province. I was standing up in my kitchen, having a glass of wine, talking about how my band and I were going to go to Nashville to record a record in a couple of weeks. My whole life went, and thank goodness my kids are everything, the only thing to me. Yeah.
That's amazing. How old are they now?
They're 12 and almost 13.
Wow.
So I've got hormonal tweens happening to me at the same time.
Are they in the same grade? Are they in that?
They are in the same grade.
Oh, they're in the same grade.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been, the layers of it would be infinitely less complicated if they were in different grades. And not so much now. They have their different friend groups and very solidified in those friend groups. They actually go to different schools. And so it's way better now. But there were times when it was very challenging to navigate.
Yeah.
And I got them Taylor Swift tickets. So, I mean, come on.
No
What?
way.
Oh, you're the hero of the century.
Oh, wow.
It was a miracle, actually. So in high school, the guy I was dating cheated on me a week before my prom. And it was in public with like a couple of girls. I didn't really care about him. Like it was just one of those things.
Is this
right?
in Newfoundland? Is this in
In Newfoundland?
Yeah, Newfoundland.
So he calls, we meet, and he told me because there were other people there who saw it. So I was like, goodbye. You are the weakest link. And then I invited a friend of mine who's a musician to come with me platonically. And he ended up moving away after high school, ends up going to Arizona and really getting in with the church. And he's become a Christian superstar. Like he has a bunch of Grammys. And I put it on Instagram a week before. I had been trying to get tickets for a year and I was desperate. I was like, does anybody? And he said, he sent me a text. I can connect you right now to Taylor's management. Within 3 days, I had a Ticketmaster link from her management company letting me choose what tickets I wanted to buy.
Oh, that's unbelievable. And when is this? When was this?
This was a year and a half ago.
That's
Unfortunately,
phenomenal.
I like in a reaction, I chose the most expensive tickets on the floor, not thinking that my daughters would not be able to see the show, but they were there. And, memories grow as they.
Oh, yeah. They grow, they evolve.
That's
and
phenomenal.
over the next 3 years of horrible hormones, every time it's like, I hate you, Mom. You just go, well,
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Just
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
there's a
That's
hate
right.
mom set part, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely like riding the line. There was something that happened. Oh, it was watching the Grammys. So, and I was trying to get my girls to come down and watch it with me. And they were like, oh, I'm in the bath. I don't want to, blah, blah. And I was like, Sabrina Carpenter's on. And because my kids are super into music, but they're, mom's not cool. And anyway, so we're watching it. They were sitting here with me, and I was telling them the backstory behind all the artists and the songs and blah, 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 blah. And I saw this flicker of recognition that night. I was like, I think there's going to come a day when they might think I'm cool. This is great.
You are
I was
cool.
like that one moment. I was like, because, we're not cool. We're not cool at this age at all. And I haven't been cool to them in a very long time. They love me. And I love them, but I'm not cool. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well,
you always cool. You always talk about things from before the kids came along. It's like, there was a time when I was actually an interesting person.
Yeah.
I know that's not true anymore.
Yeah. Before that portal opened up to a whole different, like parenthood is really like this portal. It's like, you can live over here happily. Once you go through that portal, it's like, there's no going back. Of course, 100%. It's so funny now. I see my mother in such a different light now. It's amazing. My mom, really overcame a lot of adversity in her life. She passed away 3.5 years ago. And, since her passing, I've learned more about her and her decisions and her struggles. And it's like, wow, she was badass. That feels good. Good.
That's amazing. It is the reflection, right? Yeah. Thanks, Dav. Thank you so much.
This was so fun. This felt like 12 minutes.